Today is apparently going to be a full day of eating. Hey guys, so today is apparently going to be a full day of eating, and I'm going to make this as informative as possible for you guys, so you know what I'm eating, why I'm eating it, the particulars, the timing of it, why I'm having the certain kind of ratios of carbs, fats, fiber, proteins, all of those good things. So the first meal is actually already been consumed, or first kind of feeding, and this is done really kind of early in the morning. So first thing in the morning, I go for a morning walk. As you guys know who follow me on Instagram, I do a Steve on the Common, where I answer a viewer's question and walk around the common. I then come back and then have my first kind of protein feeding, which is simply a protein shake. So I have 200 mils of skimmed milk, and then I have been having a serving of Select, PES Science Select whey protein, or it's a protein blend in fact. I have 25 grams of that powder with 200 mils of milk. That gets me over 20 grams of high quality protein, the threshold that we want for a maximal muscle protein synthesis response. It gets that in early doors. We want to get those frequently spread out through the day, as you'll see with my feedings. But carbs, fats, that sort of thing isn't particularly needed. And because I'm dieting right now for my contest, I try and keep calories quite low in the morning. And I've just been out for a walk, a very brief walk, and picked up a coffee. There you go. I was trying to show you the wording on the coffee. This is literally a black coffee. Normally I would just have something from my Tassimo machine, but I've run out of capsules. So there's a really nice little kind of boutique-y coffee shop down the road called 7 Ounce. So I got black coffee from there. And I work in the kitchen in the mornings at least, kind of on the grill just here, as you can see, doing some programming. The first meal I make is some cocoa oats, which is, you're gonna see later, but it's already kind of cooling, and then I will fridge this. So this is 40 grams of oats with 10 grams of cocoa powder and 400 mils of milk, just water, sorry. So I use a 10:1 ratio of liquid to oats. I cook that, cool it, cook it, cool it a few times until it's nice and thick. So it's like a really thick kind of soup, not quite paste, but a thick soup. And then I leave it to cool in here. And then I'll probably actually fridge it, and sometimes I freeze it for a little bit so that it's really kind of like cold and stodgy oats. And then I make a protein mug cake, but you'll see that later, and I'll put that on top. So my first meal of the day, the protein shake, is consumed at about 7, and then I'll have that probably at about 10:30, 11. So I will check in with you later. So that's food so far, guys. I thought I should also mention, so far I have had a caffeine-free Pepsi right here. So I've had one of these in the morning. Caffeine-free because I try and at the moment keep my caffeine at a relatively low level. Just having the coffee each day, not having pre-workouts this week because it's the first week of my new mesocycle. It is that time for my cocoa oats. They've been in the freezer, so they're pretty cold. And it's now almost 11. So I've got some chocolate smooth flavor impact whey protein, which I really like, for my mug cake, which is 30 grams of that. Then I have some baking powder. I use quite a lot of this. Now it's quite salty, but I mean, I like the salty flavor. I use about this much. Put that in, and then I will mix that in with 50 mils of skim milk. That will come to kind of a thick consistency, and then I will zap it in the microwave basically until it rises, and then put it on top of my cocoa oats. With that, I'll also have a decaf coffee. Obviously trying to keep my caffeine down, but I do like coffee. This is my pre-workout meal. So I'll be working out in about an hour and a half's time. So this is relatively low fat, relatively low fiber as well, because the oats have some fiber, the cocoa powder has some fiber, but relatively low fiber. High protein, so I'm getting a decent hit of protein from the protein mug cake and also from the oats. so I'm getting over that 20 grams of high quality protein. The oats are also slow digesting, obviously, like a lower glycemic index carbohydrate. They're going to be in my system longer, so they're actually going to keep me fuller, which is important because I'm dieting right now, but they're also going to fuel my workout a little bit better. During my workout, I also have an intra-workout, which I will show you, but this is essentially my pre-workout meal because it's going to keep me kind of full and sustained. It's tasty, really enjoy it. Low fiber, it's not too much of a concern, it just slows down digestion. Low fat, again, that slows down digestion, and it's not going to provide me energy for my workout. So it's higher carb and it's higher in protein. I generally have a fruit with this. I'm going to have blueberries today because micronutrition, again, some more carbohydrates, higher in fiber, but not excessive fiber, and it's going to keep me full and fueled for my workout. Right now, if I was bulking and I had a workout very soon, I might not have as much fiber. I wouldn't need it to keep me full, but that's why it's a bit higher fiber. And I like to always have each meal with a fruit or vegetable if I can, just because I think that's good practice, and again, it makes my meals higher volume and fuller. So this is my first meal of the day. Hits my preferences, hits my needs and requirement. So here's the finished product. As you can see, I leave it fairly uncooked, and I'm gonna sit down and enjoy that. Oh, of note, I eat it with a teaspoon. This is all very much engineered in terms of cutlery. I use a teaspoon so I eat it slower, and I put it in this specific Tupperware box. The oats fit it well. It doesn't look like a tiny portion. I get a good layering, like it's all very much specific and engineered. I also cool the oats like this because I enjoy the texture differences, and I find having them cooled and thicker like this makes me chew them more, and by chewing more keeps me fuller. So these are strategies, and I will sip on this decaf coffee whilst consuming it, again to fill my stomach up, to keep me satiated whilst I'm dieting. All right, checking in again for my pre-workout meal? Pre-workout and intra-workout prep. So here we've got my intra-workout, which is basically a Lucozade or Gatorade, but this is from Aldi. It's cheap, contains about 30 grams of kind of carbohydrates just in sugars. I think it's just glucose pretty much in here. So that's 30 grams of carbs with 10 grams of protein pretty much, and I sip that during the workout. Now pre-workout, I have some squash, I have about a teaspoon of salt. This is for sodium, to help for a pump during the workout and just for general electrolytes and things like that. I have here some L-arginine. Again, not loads of evidence saying this does anything amazing. I anecdotally find it gives me a bit of a pump. It's nice and cheap. I have 6 grams of that. I also have HMB, which tastes awful. And I have 3 grams of HMB. Oh. By no means something you have to supplement with. It's by no means something that has loads of evidence behind it, but there is a small amount of evidence to say that that amount supplementation beforehand, before your workout, can help to reduce the amount of kind of potential catabolism. And then finally, I have citrulline malate, which is probably a better and safer bet than both HMB and L-arginine as a pre-workout. And I have 6 to 8 grams of this, generally just 6 grams because I try and stretch it out a little bit. So yeah, that's my pre-workout, which is kind of non-stimulatory, but it has got some kind of components in it which should aid my workout in terms of getting me a pump and stuff. And what I should say is in the morning is when I take my creatine. So the moment I'm taking 10 grams of creatine with my protein shake in the morning, that is on the upper end of any sort of recommendations. That's basically because my carbohydrates are lower, I'm in a calorie deficit, so if I can like top my creatine phosphate stores up as much as possible, I should see a greater benefit. So anyway, in terms of this pre-workout, I'm taking about 30 minutes before I leave for my workout, or rather 30 minutes before my workout will start, because I'll leave shortly after I do my cardio, do my warm-up, and then I'll probably 30 minutes away from having taken this, and then intra-workout is sipped during the session. So yeah, that's my intra, that's why I take it. The intra-workout, sorry, to explain a little bit of why I'm taking kind of Lucozade and protein during my workout, which seems a bit bro, is because I'm training twice a day. I basically want to start the recovery process ASAP. My training sessions also towards the end especially of my mesocycles get very long, and so my training volume is very high, and to keep my training quality high, I like sipping on an intra-workout, and anecdotally it really helps me stay switched on, gives me good energy. So rather than kind of relying on stored glucose, which I don't have much of, I can just get it straight from here, or stored glycogen even. So that's the reason for the intra-workout, and small amount of protein again is just to give a slight anabolism to try and fight as much catabolism as possible and just kind of ignite that recovery process. And then straight after my workout, as you'll see, I have some fast acting, easy to digest carbohydrates and some lean protein. Again, low fiber, low fat to aid digestion for my twice daily training to get as much of a productive workout AM and PM. So cheers guys, and I'll catch you later. We're post-workout guys, and we have 200 grams of egg whites that I've whipped up, and I'm going to have those with some 50% less sugar and salt ketchup because the macros are great on that. Nothing to do with having the low salt. So those are just microwaved, and then with that I'm having some Snacker Jacks and some plain rice cakes. And the reason I'm having plain rice cakes is literally because I get more of these, is more macro friendly, but they're still fast digesting. I prefer to have just more Snacker Jacks, but unfortunately these have higher calories. So this is all to do with nutrient timing becomes very important when you train twice a day, and I need these to be fast digesting. I need to replenish my glycogen stores so I can hit up my session later and have all of those smaller muscle groups replenished. So here is the final product. Egg whites with ketchup on top, and then I break up my rice crackers, my Snacker Jacks and rice cakes as so, and consume those pretty much right now, again working from the laptop up here, and you'll find I consume the majority of my carbohydrates pre and post workout, surrounding my workouts with my carbohydrates. Whether you work out twice a day or not, I still think that's a good recommendation in terms of kind of nutrient timing and timing your carbohydrates around your workouts, having like 25% of them before your workout, 25% of them after your workout, and that's a good kind of, at least you've got 50% of your carbs then surrounding your workout when you're going to need them most. So I think that's a solid recommendation for most. And the best way to cook your oats is to make sure they overspill, because this overspilling here reduces the number of calories in your bowl, so you actually lose more fat. Yeah, this is an accident guys, and I am currently having a snack which is just a crumpet, which is toasting away in there, which I often do just out of habit at the moment. Obviously it's accounted for, but yeah, this was a fuck up. Apologies. So guys, this is my pre-workout meal. Obviously I had that Warburton's crumpet earlier. So this is just 2 tomatoes, half a pepper. So that's 3 portions of veg, really 2 because the tomato is the same thing. Got some that ketchup and 200 grams of egg whites again. And again, this is just easy on my stomach, but some food volume from the veggies. Also good to get those micronutrients in. And this is eaten approximately an hour to an hour and a half before my PM workout. And again, it's just getting that 20 grams of minimum of high quality proteins in to get that extra feeding to keep muscle protein synthesis high. And I will also be salting this meal because you should not be scared of salt when you're in a calorie deficit, particularly because especially when you're on lower carbs, with your carb intakes low, you're not holding on to as much glycogen. So when you drink, you just continue kind of peeing out, and you're peeing out quite a lot of electrolytes potentially, of which sodium is one of them. And so by having a higher kind of water and sodium intake, because they kind of go hand in hand, you can kind of mitigate that, and that can help with kind of things like just general well-being and also pumps within the gym. So that's why I salt pretty much every meal that I will consume. Even a little bit of salt on, like if I have smoked salmon on a salad or something, I'll still put a little bit of salt on there as well. I don't track it at the moment. It's just something I kind of have a general habit of doing. So yeah, this is the pre-workout meal. Guys, doing this food day of eating has made me realize that I'm pretty much prepping food and then eating food all freaking day. that happens when you diet. So now I have got my chilled oats here. So this was the 30 grams of oats, 150 mils of almond milk, and 150 mils of water. Now that's chilled, it's been cooked. I'm now making my topping, which is the Kayvyun pudding. So I have Kayvyun from my protein. It's not that tasteful. So what I do is I add 10 grams of cocoa to 20 grams of Kayvyun with 10 grams of options. This flavor, salted caramel, is divine in particular. And then I add 150 mils of almond brise, and I mix that all up in a bowl. I'll show you what it looks like once it's done. So when you first start and you put it all in the bowl, you'll be like, oh my gosh, it's not mixing in, or I put too much water. But if you keep on stirring, it will be okay. So I do recommend you make both the oats and this pudding ahead of time, because they're just better cooled and even slightly frozen, because it just gives it a bit more of a bite texture. So when you're having it before bed, it's just that much nicer. So this will be fairly thick by the time it's all mixed in, and then once you cool it, and even if you freeze it, then it gets really thick, and it's like a nice icing on top of this, which you'll see pre-bed when I eat it. Guys, welcome to my massive salad, hashtag massive salad. This is my evening meal after my last workout. This is the only meal in which it's high fiber, lots of veggies. So I've got broccoli, I've got spinach, I've got lettuce, I've got salsa, I've got beetroot, I've got some teriyaki chicken that I cooked in the slow cooker, and that's all on a salad. So again, this has got a minimum of 20 grams of high quality protein. This is very low carb, low fat, and just loads of veggies and proteins. The reason for this is because I've got my oats later, and I put the majority of my carbs around my earlier workout, as you guys saw. So this is really the only time where I have loads and loads of vegetables, and it's the only time I can really have loads and loads of fiber, which is perfect because in the evening is when you're kind of tempted to eat a bit more. So this is why this just makes complete sense to have a massive salad right now. And then later you'll see, obviously I'll have some oats and maybe a few goodies as well. Sometimes I'll have salmon on this, but it's generally a lean protein source, or yeah, salmon, smoked salmon. And this is, yeah, my evening dinner. It keeps me nice and full. Fiber slows digestion. Lots of food bulk from the vegetables, which have lots of water inside, so they fill up the stomach, keep you really well sustained. Obviously loads of micronutrition as well. And this just massive salad will vary all the time. Not always the same vegetables in there either. So that's my dinner. So this, I guess, is part of me being a flexible dieter, in that I can fit in some of these goodies right here into my daily calories. So I've got some Mikado and some digestive thins. So I've got 3 digestive thins and I've got a bunch of Mikados. This comes to, so yeah, for these Mikado thins, or rather the Mikado, only 85 calories and 105 calories. So here we've got under 200 calories of kind of goodies, obviously fitting easily within my macros, easily within that 20% of discretionary calories. I save them to the end of the day on purpose. By saving them to the end of the day, I make sure that if I do get hungry earlier, I can eat more, and then I just don't have this. It also saves me, kind of, if I am hungry after this, then it's okay, I'm going to bed. I still do have my oats to have anyway, which I will show you and explain my reasons behind that, but that's why I have these. I specifically have both the thins and the Mikado because they are thin, small. I can take my time over them, like weirdly lick off the chocolate and stuff. Like you can lick all this chocolate off and then nibble it away, that sort of thing. And those things just take your time over food. As I said before, when you have more fibrous food like salads, and you have to chew it more, that can keep you fuller for longer as well. So yeah, that's the reasoning behind this kind of snack, as it were, before bed. Okay guys, so here it is, final meal of the day. We've got the chilled oats underneath, we've got the protein Kayvyun pudding on top with some peanut butter, which is just this generic peanut butter, nothing special there, just 15 grams. Finish off my fats. Like I said, I've lots of my fats and fiber kind of in my evening because they slow digestion during the day, which is not ideal when I'm working out twice. Also got a multivitamin, 3 omega-3 capsules, and a vitamin D as well to get that supplementation in every single day. I take omega-3s when I don't have the smoked salmon. So this is actually not enough protein, probably just under 20 grams of high quality protein, but it's eaten so close to my evening meal that I don't worry about that. My evening meal has had that enough protein and I've having this quite close, so this is kind of like a little bit of a cap on top of it. So this is providing me some slow digesting protein through the night, which should help to provide kind of those amino acids for my muscles through the night as we can't have protein. So it'll kind of like drip feed my muscles protein essentially. It's a good kind of security blanket to have, nothing essential. And I find the oats and the Kayvyun, they're slow digesting, especially with the fat on top, that it just keeps me satiated and full through the night, so I don't end up waking up hungry or anything like that. So that was my day, guys, and you can see I've also got my blue blocking glasses on. So I will talk to you soon, and hopefully you found this interesting, insightful. If you have got any questions or comments or concerns, note them below and I'll get to them. But otherwise, I'm going to enjoy this, and again, you can see I'm using my little spoon, and this has been in the freezer, so this is nice and at a good temperature and kind of like I like my textures. It's a good texture right now, so catch you soon.